I am a biotic god. I think things, and they happen. Fear me, lesser creatures, for I am biotics made flesh.
Before we get started, let's take a quick sec to hear from our sponsors.
No data available.
Universe of YouTube. I'm Mr. Gun 2185. Are you like me? Has the Mass Effect universe consumed your life? You might be entitled to Okay, seriously. Before I get started, you should know that I have are stupid. So while speaking, I might say something that makes sense to me, but not to you. BioWare has done something to video games, with games like KOTOR, SWTOR, Neverwinter, Anthem. We don't talk about that. Anyways, let's not forget my two favorite franchises, Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Even if the gameplay wasn't always the greatest, and it had a quest most people hated, or it had the occasional overpowered enemy that felt impossible to get past, I was always more than happy. Moderately happy. The point is, I ended up pushing through it. The BioWare games that I've played and loved have spoiled video games due to their phenomenal writing, rich lore, amazing worlds, fantastic stories, spectacular characters, and good pacing for me to consume it all. And in some cases, for it to consume me. They easily had me care or hate just about everything, and not hate in a bad way that it was written bad, but hate in like this is written in such a way I'm supposed to dislike it. They had me pour countless hours and multiple playthroughs trying to complete and collect everything the game had to offer. They spoiled games for me. There are so many games that are widely loved that I personally don't think that are that good because BioWare set a standard for me. For me, I need to care about what's going on, what I'm doing, and the characters, similar to a good show or movie. Otherwise, I'd rather play something else. I want to talk about a great Mass Effect game that could have been. If instead of making Anthem, they poured those resources into making Mass Effect Andromeda a multiplayer game that could rival Destiny. For this game that I completely made up to work, it needs to be a mix of BioWare's own games and Destiny. Mass Effect Andromeda will be the foundation this game is built upon, using all of its assets, gameplay, characters, planets, etc., building upon what's already there and adding more, and replacing some things that I personally think shouldn't have been there to begin with. Before I continue to go into this, I think it goes without saying, even if we're keeping the same planets and adding more, the planets' looks need to change. I want to see more unique planets, with the idea being they won't look like any planet we've seen in the Milky Way galaxy. They're only planets we're going to see here in Mass Effect Andromeda. Some great examples of this are planets from the Star Wars prequels, planets from Dragon Ball, or even the map of the older Elder Scrolls games. They're all very unique, and you won't really find anything like them other than in those universes. Like Destiny, there will be 3 classes. The Commando class will really be based on the combat skill tree. This class will take enemies head-on, distracting them and mainly be relying on their weapons to destroy them. Next will be the Guardian class, primarily based off the biotic skill tree. Like the Storm in Anthem, this class can hover above the battlefield and use their weapons and abilities where they see fit to aid their allies and conquer their enemies. And lastly, there will be the Operative class, primarily based off the tech skill tree. They use stealth in order to flank enemies and can lay down turrets and other weapons, as well as using their own weapons for maximum output to demolish enemies. There will be no subclasses, but you will be able to enhance any single ability with any single element of your choosing, such as Incendiary, Cryo, Poison, etc. For example, I can have Biotic Shockwave enhanced with Incendiary and Biotic Charge enhanced with Cryo at the same time. You can play as one of 6 races, the 4 council races, Asari, Solarian, Turian, Human, and play as Krogan and Quarian as well. While you can play any class, any race, there will be a race skill tree that will only benefit 2 of the classes out of 3. And the race you choose determines the starting story you play, similar to how the class you play in SWTOR determines your starting story. The Asari will look different depending on the race you play as, and if you play an Asari, you will get to see what Asari actually look like for the first time ever. The level cap will be 60, and from level 30 plus, you'll rely on combat efficiency, similar to Destiny's power. There will be 4 currencies, credits being the main one, armor parts for upgrading armor, weapon parts for upgrading weapons, and Andromeda currency. Andromeda currency you will pay your own money for to buy cosmetics. You'll have a total of 4 health bars, barrier, shield, armor, and health. Shields and health will work the same as they did in Mass Effect 3. However, barrier will go above shields and will work similar to how Destiny's Overshield works. Armor will be in between shields and health, but will not regenerate over time. It must be repaired with repair kits. While health will regenerate to max upon starting a mission or landing on a planet, armor will not. All loot will be random drops, but they will be location based. So if you're going for specific gear, you need to farm specific planets, areas, and missions to unlock them. All gear will drop at Mark 1. You can use credits and weapons or armor parts to upgrade it to Mark X, which for weapons will change stats, upping some such as damage and lowering others like recoil. For armor, it can up stats like shields and lower others like weight. Weight affects both ability recharge speed and how fast your character moves. You can also upgrade attachments and from Mark 1 to Mark X. There will be a total of 8 gear slots, 4 weapons: melee, sidearm, main arm, heavy weapon. Heavy weapon can be a heavy gun or a heavy melee weapon. Weapon stats won't be random, instead it will be based off the individual weapons. Weapon perks, however, will be random. You can enhance each weapon with attachments and any elements of your choosing: incendiary, cryo, poison, etc. It will be mandatory that you have one element weapon and one kinetic weapon in any weapon slot of your choosing. The other 2 are completely up to you. You will be able to change how a weapon shoots, semi-auto, burst, or automatic-wise. This will not up the damage of the weapon, it is just for user preference. Now, you can change how it shoots these 3 ways, unless you made the weapon into an elemental weapon. Then, it can only shoot its default way with the addition of the element, or you can change it to one of the following. Semi-auto and snipers can be changed where the bullet does little damage on impact, but explodes its element a few seconds after impact. This will cost less damage, but it is good for AoE damage. Burst and shotguns can be changed to charging weapons, holding the trigger to shoot a blast of its element. While this does more damage, it takes longer to shoot. And automatic weapons can be changed to elemental beams. This will do more damage to a single target over time, but it does less damage upon initial impact. Sidearms can qualify for all of the above, depending on the sidearm you use, due to there being shotgun sidearms, sniper sidearms, semi-auto, burst, and automatic sidearms. Armor will come with random perks as well as random stats for shields, armor, weight, recovery, etc. You can further upgrade both weapons and armor by adding attachments to them. The number of perks and attachments a weapon or armor can have will depend on its rarity. There will be 7 different rarities in the game: 1 for starting the game, 3 for normal gear, and 3 for master level gear. Leather/uncommon gear is for level 29 and below. All gear can drop from this tier, but it will be a weaker version, won't be upgradable or customizable. It will have 0 perks, 0 attachment slots, and 0 combat efficiency. All other gear is for level 30 plus. You will no longer obtain leather/uncommon gear after reaching level 30. All level 30 plus gear will be upgradable and customizable, have perks and attachment slots. Iron/uncommon gear will have 1 perk and 1 attachment slot. Bronze/rare gear will have 2 perks and 2 attachment slots. Silver/ultra rare gear will have 3 perks and 3 attachment slots. You will be able to upgrade both uncommon and rare gear to ultra rare by upgrading the weapon, its perks, and its attachments to Mark X, costing credits and weapon or armor parts. Once that is done, you can upgrade the weapon or armor once more, costing nothing, and it will be upgraded to the next rarity. However, this will reset the weapon, its perks, and attachments to Mark 1, and if you're trying to get uncommon gear to ultra rare, you would have to do this twice. While you can upgrade the gear as stated, gear will only drop at its default rarity. When upgrading the gear, it will obtain 1 more attachment slot and 1 more random perk. All perks can be changed, costing a lot of credits and weapons or armor parts. However, the perk that it is changed to will still be random. The lower the default rarity of the gear, it will look more like real-life modern gear. The higher the default rarity of the gear, it will look more like Mass Effect or future gear. Gold and legendary gear will be customizable but have 0 attachment slots and 4 perks that are debuffs until you complete the quest or challenge for it, which will then turn it into Platinum/Masterworks gear. Not all Masterwork gear will start as legendary gear, however, so both legendary and Masterworks gear can drop at very low rates. Masterwork gear is customizable and will have 4 attachment slots, 1 Masterwork perk, and 3 perks. Perks will not be random for Masterwork weapons. You cannot change how Masterwork or Legendary weapons shoot, and you cannot change the element type. You can also not change any of the perks. However, you will be able to add any attachments you would like. Upgrading Masterworks weapons or armor, its perks and its attachments to Mark X, costing credits and weapons or armor parts, will turn it into Diamond/Superior Masterwork. Superior Masterworks will not drop. Legendary plus gear is going to be the equivalent of Destiny's exotic gear. Unlike Destiny, there will be full sets for the armor of this gear, but like Destiny, you will be restricted to using only 2 at a time. But unlike Destiny, you can choose if you want that to be 2 weapons or 2 armors or 1 weapon and 1 armor. There will be no class restricted gear, but there will be race restricted. However, each race will have their own variation for armor that is iron, bronze, or silver. Armors that are legendary and above will be unique to the race, however. In addition to that, you will be able to customize the paint schemes for all weapons and armor other than common, costing no resources. You will also be able to change the look of armor to any previously unlocked armor for a small amount of credits and armor parts. This does not include common or legendary and anything higher than that. But you can still customize the paint schemes. There will be no weapon restrictions if you are wondering why I decided to go with leather, iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond instead of colors most games use. It was to keep the gear similar to how Mass Effect Andromeda has bronze, silver, gold, and in 7 loot. While I do have ideas for where the story could go later, I don't have all the details worked out on how to get there. I will also be changing some of the backstory behind Mass Effect Andromeda. So first, I want to replace the Andromeda Initiative's artificial intelligence with the Geth. In the Milky Way galaxy, a Quarian faction that isn't a part of the flotilla wishes to reunite with the Geth. They come in contact with a Geth faction that does not want to fight the Reapers or join them, but instead that faction of Geth came up with a plan to escape the Milky Way galaxy and the Reaper invasion. While most of the Quarians help the Geth continue what they already started on, some Quarians go out into the galaxy and begin recruiting as many people and races as possible. And this later becomes the Andromeda Initiative. It also allows every race that we have seen in the Milky Way galaxy to be able to travel to Andromeda, including ones we see in-game that aren't necessarily capable of space travel. I would like to see never-before-seen races due to them returning to their home planet and destroying their technology in hopes the Reapers would ignore them. However, not everyone working in the Andromeda Initiative are able to go. Some only work on it for their children or loved ones to be able to survive. With the Andromeda Initiative also hiring mercenaries and former military to ensure their best chance of survival when they arrive to Andromeda. The Andromeda Initiative and all of its assets reside in the Terminus systems, which is why the Normandy crew was looking for Geth in the Terminus systems in the beginning of Mass Effect 2. The Normandy crew didn't know what they were looking for, but the Galactic Council did, only telling the Normandy crew that they were sent to the Terminus systems to fight Geth. However, the Normandy was never able to find them due to the Collector attack. The Andromeda Initiative left shortly after Sovereign's attack and humanity joining the Council. Sovereign's attack caused the Andromeda Initiative to leave early, believing it was their best chance of survival. However, they did not have enough resources for everyone, which led to them leaving the majority of people in cryo upon arrival. Each arc will have a minimum of 3 races aboard. The number of people per race will vary. The Geth will be aboard each arc, however they will not be included in the 3 races already established. And the Geth will be similar to the Keepers, with their main job being to pilot, maintain, repair, and protect and defend all arcs, and co-piloting all ships. All arcs and ships will have guns on them. I personally thought it was very stupid to go to a whole unknown galaxy without weapons on your vehicles to protect you. The Nomad made sense, but the ships, shuttles, and arcs didn't, especially seeing how you have weapons on you to protect yourself, but not on your vehicles, and they don't know what they're going to be up against in this new unknown galaxy. All starting stories will only be dealing with Milky Way races, with Andromeda races coming in later DLCs, not only the ones we've had previously, but also newer ones we've never seen before. The Andromeda Initiative will have a council with 5 counselors: Asari, Turian, Solarian, Human, and Geth, with all other races having ambassadors. The Geth has used the time getting to Andromeda to become fully AI, and the Krogan using that time to evolve from the Genophage, as they do not need to be in cryo due to their long lifespans. There will be no nexus. Instead, all arcs will be in the same area, similar to the Quarian flotilla. All arcs will look the same, however the ship you are given will be unique to the race you play, similar to Mass Effect 3, when you have all fleets, each race has their own unique ships. You should be able to customize the ship paint scheme as well, and I would like to be able to change the ship similar to Destiny, even if it means the inside of the ship will look the same but unique for each race. The ship will be a smaller ship, with the only personnel on it being the player character and their companions. You won't have a shuttle. Your ship will be bigger than a shuttle, however, it will be small enough that it can play the same role. You will have a choice between either a Mako or Hammerhead. The ship and Mako or Hammerhead will have 4 slots each, one for auto weapon, one for explosive weapon, one for shields, and one for armor. Your vehicle won't have health. Your vehicle's shields will regenerate over time. Armor won't, however. You will need to use repair kits, just like on the player character. And just like in Mass Effect 1, when repairing the ship's armor, you won't be able to move. If your vehicle's armor is at 0, that vehicle will be destroyed. The ship, Mako, and Hammerhead will only be used for quests that require it, and PvP. World maps will be smaller, similar to the Outer Worlds, so vehicles won't be necessary to get around. However, you will be able to take enemy vehicles if you choose to do so. As stated before, each ship will have a Geth as co-pilot. They will be unique to the race and story, and also usable as a companion. You'll have 2 companions that match the race you choose, 1 male and 1 female, with 3 more companions of different races, for a total of 6 companions that will be unique to the story you are playing. 6 more will come in later DLC that won't be unique to the race or story. All players will have these other 6 if they choose to recruit them. You don't have to recruit any companion except for the first 3, but you will still work with the companions you don't recruit through the quest where you first meet them. You can kick companions off your ship at any time, except for the first 3. You can romance 5 out of your first 6 companions based on your character's gender, and also break up with them at any given time. You will not be able to romance the Geth companion. You will only be able to have 1 companion with you at a time. However, your companion will not be able to join you if you're in a fire team with real players. A fire team with real players has a max of 8 players at any given time. There will be a war table on your ship, and you can send a minimum of 2 companions to do a single mission, and they will bring back loot, credits, weapons, and armor materials, similar to Mass Effect Andromeda's Apex HQ. This makes the companions sent unavailable for you to use in your party, however they will be available for you to speak to on your ship. This also encourages players to upgrade all of your companions and equip them with high combat efficiency armor, as their success rate will depend on it. Or you can send more than just the 2 companions on this mission for a higher success rate. You cannot bring companions into PvP. PvP will look similar to going into the Armaxo Arena in the Mass Effect 3 Citadel DLC. Matches will be a minimum of 8 players and a maximum of 32 players unless you're doing a private match. Combat efficiency, weapons, and armor will be equalized, and abilities will be nerfed where needed. For example, you cannot use Biotic Pull on another player the same way you can use it on an NPC. Instead, using Biotic Pull on a player will pull that player out of cover, or if that player is not already in cover, it will pull them slightly into the direction of the using player and stagger them for a few seconds. Ability adjustments like that will be made where needed. PvP players will also not be able to use armor. Barrier will still be available, but also Metagel will not be available. I would also like to see vehicles play a role in PvP. Vehicles will still have armor, but armor cannot be repaired because repair kits will not be available in PvP. This can also let them have 4 PvP modes: ship battles, Mako and Hammerhead battles, boots on the ground battles, and all-out warfare. All vehicles will be available in all-out warfare. However, they will be limited, similar to Battlefield. Team Deathmatch and Free-For-All will be available for each PvP mode. While I do want to see different starter stories for each race, there will be similarities. For example, the player character will be one of the best freelance mercenaries in the Terminus systems. Hired by the Andromeda Initiative, your reasons for leaving the Milky Way is unknown, but it will be revealed in a later DLC. Each race has 3 main factions to deal with: your race's government, a crime syndicate, and a rival race extremist group that hates aliens. You can do work for your race's government or the crime syndicate. While your race's government is the Paragon option, they will be similar to the Galactic Council, but still unique to the race, inserting their own culture and ideas into it. They will have its flaws. For example, they will be more xenophobic towards aliens, while the crime syndicate will be more united, tolerating every race so long as that person is useful. This is the renegade option, however, and they will be more of a tyrannical group, doing anything to get ahead. You will be going on unique quest lines for both, but the main quest will have you getting resources, outposts, and using REM tech to terraform planets, giving them to the faction, ultimately allying with one of them, and using them to fight against that rival race extremist group. This will result in a small war, with the extremist groups holding grudges against other races for problems that happen in the Milky Way galaxy. Rival races will be Asari and Quarian for kicking the Quarians out of the galactic community after they created the Geth, Turian and Human for the First Contact Wars, Solarians and Krogan for the Genophage. All races will dislike the Geth, however they will continue to utilize them as tools. The Rider family will show up in all stories, with the player character knowing them from the Milky Way galaxy. There will be tension between the player character and the Rider family. While on the quest for either faction, you will occasionally fight members of your rival extremist group, eventually with them cornering you and swarming you and your companion. And when you're down to your last bullet, the Rider family will come in and save you. Your relationship with the Rider family will seem very uneasy. However, they will also assist you in destroying the extremist group alongside the faction you choose to ally with. The idea for this game is that it lasts 10 years, and on the 12th year, all content, including time-restricted content, will be available. And after 15 years, perhaps they can start working on the sequel, but it won't be necessary because this will be a full experience. I'm trying to see at least 2 DLCs a year, with seasons in between setting up the next DLC like Destiny. As mentioned before, I'm not sure of how these will exactly play out, but I do have an idea of where it could go. The first DLC will be called Second Contact. You are going to be either hired by the Andromeda Initiative to search for, or by the criminal leaders to rob a high-priority ship that has seemingly gone missing. Upon arrival of the ship, you will find it completely abandoned, and while you're on that ship, it will be forced into docking to a giant Ket ship. Upon first contact with the Ket, they attempt to make you their prisoner. You resist, and you and your companion get swarmed by countless Ket until you both fall. You then wake up in a prison similar to the one from Guardians of the Galaxy. One big room full of prisoners, all from the Milky Way galaxy. This is what happened to the ship you were sent to look for, or rob. Among them, you will find one Angaran named Jaal. You will team up with Jaal to get your equipment back, contact your ship, and escape. You can either help others escape, or use them as a distraction so you can escape. After escaping, Jaal gets in contact with the Angaran resistance, and mentions they will compensate you for bringing him back to them, which leads to the first contact with the Angaran. This eventually leads to them hiring you into fighting in the Angaran-Ket War, and eventually going to the dying Angaran homeworld using your Geth to activate the Remnant Vault to save it. They will then introduce you to what the Angarans call the Savior. The Savior is similar to what the Protheans are to the Asari. The Savior initially saved the Angaran from an invasion and uplifted them so they could survive and defend themselves. The Savior is a Reaper. Everyone from the Andromeda Initiative knows what a Reaper looks like due to Sovereign's attack. So, this makes you and your squad very uneasy. This Reaper doesn't speak, instead it gives you and your squad a vision similar to the Prothean beacon in Mass Effect 1. Instead of seeing the Protheans' destruction this time, you see the destruction of Reapers and the Remnant. While the vision is unclear, the vision will be unclear. However, later DLC, you will speak to a Reaper Queen, which will reveal that the Reapers uplifted the Remnants to help fight against something so powerful that the Reapers themselves are afraid of it. So afraid, in fact, that they refuse to harvest Andromeda. Instead, they believe their best chance of survival is to uplift these races, because harvesting them will lead to everyone becoming the same, which is what led to the Protheans' downfall. This will eventually have the player character begin uniting all Milky Way races and Andromeda races to fight alongside the Reapers. Reapers' number in Andromeda are very thin. The Ket and all new Andromeda races introduced will have one Reaper doing the same for them. However, none of the Andromeda races know the purpose of the Reapers, only you and your crew know for sure. Let's pretend I made up a good reason as to why. All Milky Way races will believe you and take this threat very seriously, which leads to a uneasy, tension-filled alliance between the Andromeda Initiative and the Crime Syndicate. However, all Andromeda races will be very skeptical, and not all Andromeda races will see the Reapers as a savior. Some will see it as an equal, a slave, a world leader, etc. Most DLCs, the Rider family will be working for the faction you're going up against. While the Rider family isn't directly working against you, each interaction with them will become more and more hostile. Eventually in a DLC, the Rider family will be actively working against you, with the Rider twins coming after you. At first they will come after you separately, twice each, and on the second time they will be slightly enhanced with Remnant and Reaper. Later, the Rider twins will come after you at the same time, resulting in you unaliving the Rider twins. Alec Rider will then come after you himself, and he will be heavily enhanced with Reaper and Rentek. He will defeat you, but before he can unalive you, all of your companions come just in time to save you, resulting in Alec fleeing. In later DLC, the Milky Way Alliance interrogate you and your companions, asking for every little detail you know about Alec Rider. This will have missions in the Milky Way galaxy prior to leaving to Andromeda. Through these missions, it will be revealed that you, Alec, Sarah, and Scott were once in a mercenary group together, with Ellen Rider as the brains of the operation. All other members of this mercenary group will be the default player characters you didn't choose to play as. Ellen at this point will be presumed unalived, but she had completed a plan for a huge heist prior. These missions will have you preparing for the big score in the Milky Way. During the heist and the heist setup, you will begin to lose members of your mercenary crew. These losses will devastate most people in the mercenary group. However, the Rider family would seem to dismiss these losses and want to push through with the heist no matter what the cost. The remaining survivors at the end of the heist will be unalived by the Rider family. You will be left alive and you will fight Alec. He will defeat you, however he lets you live and he lets you take the fall for the entire heist. You then need to steal a ship to escape while you're badly injured and low on ammo. This leads to you leaving the Milky Way galaxy to start fresh and escape the entire galaxy trying to claim the bounty on your head. The Andromeda Initiative was more than happy to hire you due to your reputation as one of the best mercenaries in the galaxy. They will keep hiring you a secret so no one will try to claim the bounty on your head. The game then cuts back to you and your crew being interrogated by the Milky Way Alliance. They inform you they had no knowledge of any of this prior to this very moment. All they knew at the time was Alec had unknown benefactors backing him that could save the Andromeda Initiative so long as he was allowed to bring his entire family with him to Andromeda. But now Alec has gone rogue. They want to keep this operation a secret, so they hire you to go after Alec. After completing a few missions, you finally catch up with Alec in a remnant vault, to which he then reveals Ellen Rider is alive, and despite his love for you and the rest of the crew, he had to betray you to prove his loyalty to the benefactors, and that everything earned from that heist needed to go to them, and it was the only chance he had to save the Andromeda Initiative and his wife. And he'd do it all over again if he had to, with one difference. He wouldn't let you live this time. He tells you he now has the cure for his wife, but is afraid to use it because their children are unalive, because of you. You and Alec then fight. Eventually, during the fight, his helmet is taken off, and it is revealed that he is barely human anymore. He is now mostly pure Rem and Reaper tech. You then defeat him and can choose to unalive him or arrest him. You will also be able to choose whether to wake up Ellen Rider, cure her, or unalive her. Or you can just leave her frozen. This will cause the benefactors to come after you and your crew in a later DLC. This DLC will have you discover who these benefactors are and why they wanted you and your original crew unalived in the Milky Way galaxy. Through other DLCs, I would also like to see long-thought unalived races from the Milky Way, such as Protheans, Enosanos, Leviathans, etc. They have also escaped the Reaper invasion to Andromeda. Their numbers will be very small, and they will be in hiding due to their knowledge of Reaper presence in Andromeda. You will also be uniting these races up against this new threat that the Reapers are afraid of. This new threat will be similar to Destiny's The Witness in the sense that this new threat will be more of an individual being instead of a massive group like the Reapers. Not all DLCs and seasons will be directly related to preparing for this new threat, however. I would also like to see other smaller stories told. Maybe we can even have the Collectors, but due to them leaving the Milky Way galaxy in order to chase the Protheans into Andromeda, and the Reapers not harvesting or indoctrinating anyone in Andromeda, the Collectors could be free like the Awoken Collectors. However, the Protheans will still be at war with them due to them not knowing. And you will help the Protheans against the Collectors, but eventually make peace between the two races. This could also eventually lead into a rogue Leviathan assuming control of the Collectors, and you having to fight against the Collectors and that Leviathan to free the Collectors once again. I think most people, including myself, feel a game like this would be asking BioWare for too much. But I do believe the foundation is already there with both Mass Effect Andromeda and SWTOR under BioWare's belt. And a game like this has the potential to be one of the best multiplayer looter shooters ever created. Now please remember that I have R stupid, so I might have messed up and explained something that makes sense to me, but everyone else is confused. So if you have any questions, any additions, or anything you would like to take out or replace, hell, even if you just want to make fun of me, please leave it in the comments below. If the video does decent enough, I will more than happily make a part 2 answering any questions and discussing recommendations left in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share the video. Thank you, and if you're a fan of the Fallout franchise, I will be making a Fallout video soon. However, that will be different from this video, for in that I will mostly be discussing the story. Universe of YouTube, Mr. Gun 2185, signing off.